The number one thing most real estate agents struggle with is generating repeat and referral clients. But here's the crazy truth. About 80% of clients do not work with their past agent for the next transaction. Yet, every single top producer has the majority of their business coming from repeat and referral clients. But that's because most agents don't have a process. Today, I'm bringing on Emily, who reveals for the first time ever her simple 3-step process she uses to generate consistent closed deals from repeat and referral every single month, which added over $100,000 in commission to her business last year in one of the difficult markets. But not only that, at the end of this video, she's also going to reveal very simple ways that you can close your next deal fast for free within the next 30 days. Now, 2 quick things before getting started. Number 1, I will link Emily's content below. We're gonna talk about her content strategy, so you're gonna wanna check it out so that you can have a reference point. And number 2, she's also an incredible leader and loves to mentor other agents just like you who are struggling. And if you would like to book a private conversation on Zoom confidentially to talk about getting her support as well as mine entirely for free to take your business to the next level this year, then click that link in the description and have that call. But without further ado, let's bring on Emily and reveal her incredible and very detailed 3-step process that you can implement today in order to start to generate repeat and referral clients that turn into closed deals every month. All right, Emily, so super excited to have you on and to kind of talk about 2 things that most agents struggle with is first being able to generate leads in a way that feels very natural and authentic and not salesy, but then also being able to nurture clients and be able to generate what everybody dreams of, which is repeat and referrals. So before starting to dive into what you've done and the tactical strategies, just give yourself a quick introduction of who you are, where you're from, and what got you to the point of, becoming an icon agent here and being able to have such a successful business.
So my name is Emily Shelton. I was born and raised in Texas. I've been in the Austin area since the mid 90s. So I've seen a lot of changes. I've built a lot of relationships just through different avenues of just this being my home. And so, yeah, I got into real estate in 2013. I, have kind of been building a business ever since. There's been ups and there's been downs. But over the past, I would say for the past 5-7 years, things have been super consistent for me. I feel like I've been working a system that really works for me, tailored some training and some coaching that I've received to a business model that feels very organic. So yeah, that's kind of how I got here professionally. I'm a mom of 3 kiddos. I have teenagers in the house. I have preschoolers in the house. And so that's kind of keeps me busy on my personal time. But I have been in full-time real estate for 12 years. And I don't ever see myself doing anything different. I love it.
That's awesome. And I think that's going to be a kind of an integral part of the conversation is being able to, understand building a successful business while balancing kids. Because what I
Mm,
find oftentimes is, people use that and kind of lean on that as an excuse as to why they can't be successful.
yeah.
And I know that you've been able to kind of go against the grain there and balance everything. So let's start talking about in the beginning how you started to build momentum, because most people, and I think you and I have some commonalities here, where we left a traditional 9 to 5 full-time job where we knew a bunch of people. And then what I find with most agents is they get into real estate, they don't want to let anybody know that they're a real estate agent, and then they're wondering why they're not closing any deals and why they have no clients. So let's talk about what you did in the beginning in order to maybe leverage your past experience, your family, and tap into different communities in order to generate very authentic, genuine leads with real people that you have connections with.
So in the beginning of real estate, I would say the majority of the beginning of my career, I was a single mom. So one, didn't have a choice to make money. It had to happen. But 2, I also needed to integrate my life of being a mom and being a caretaker into my business. So I had to somehow figure out a way to marry those 2 things and not do one or all, but do them. I only have one life. I don't have a mom life and a work life. I have one life. I got to do them together. And so that I used a lot of resources and avenues of groups that I was already involved in, the PTA, helping out at my kids' school, bringing snacks for T-ball games, going and visiting and re-engaging past business, both clients and coworkers, letting them know, hey, you've done business with me in the past in this vertical of office equipment and business to business sales, and now I'm in real estate, and I would love to be a contact for you. So I had a history of cold calling. I knew what going into businesses and getting kicked out looked like, and I had I had found ways to have a reason for why I was somewhere, why I was in the business. I didn't walk in with a Rubbermaid tote of kitchen knives to sell, right? I walked in with what I thought was a lot of value for that particular business. So when I built those relationships with those companies and those clients, and again those coworkers, I kind of took the strategies that I had learned from business to business sales and cold calling and said, I am super knowledgeable about this area. I'm from here. I think I have every sales skill I need to be successful in this industry. And I have a brokerage at the time that had a great history and could teach me contracts. And so I just went out and talked to the people that I already knew, engaged with them in a way to let them know, hey, I'm in real estate now. When it comes to things like where my kids were going to school, and like I said, at the baseball fields, I wore a name tag everywhere I went,
Mhm.
whether I was working that day or not. Like whether I had been on an appointment or I had been face to face with someone I was trying to lead generate with, I threw my name tag on because it started conversations. And organic conversations were something I was very, very comfortable with. And so when people would ask me, hey, what do you do? Or, oh, I see you're in real estate. How long have you been doing that? I just got really good at telling people what I did and how I did it and why I was different. And so I feel like that's really how things got started for me, was just conversations, relationships, the community I was in, and integrating this business and family life to where it worked together seamlessly. And a lot of people say, oh, we don't want to do business with friends, or, I'm doing business with family. And I'm like, why not? Like, you already trust that person so much because you're friends with them, or else you wouldn't be friends with them. So why not do business with them? And so, yeah, that's really kind of how I got started, how I started building relationships, how I built my sphere. And I mean, my first year in real estate, I did 27 transactions just from people that I knew. So that was a lot of success. That gave me a lot of confidence. And then that gave me the knowledge I needed about contracts and transactions and negotiations and things like that that were specific to real estate. I already had a lot of those skills, but I needed some that were specific to real estate. And I did never passed up a lease lead or a lease opportunity. It was just kind of really anything I could get that felt natural.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, like, going back to my own experience, my very first deal was with a coworker when I was an engineer, and five of my first deals in my first year were all from people that I worked with, and multiple
Yeah.
deals in my second year were with people that I worked with. And I find that people think that it has to be two mutually exclusive worlds, like your old past 9 to 5 life and
Mm-mm.
then your new life. And, if you built real relationships with people and you actually did a good job at your work, like people will, discipline transcends to all industries. And so if you
Right.
did well over here, they're probably going to trust that you're going to do well over there because of your work ethic, your discipline, your, time management, your focus, all these traits that would have made you successful there translate over to here. And I think it's important to be able to have that trust with people and tap into that. And I find so many people just alienate their past life to the point where they miss out on the easiest deals that they could ever find. And I love that you also talked about just this very genuine integration of your life with the name tag and tapping into communities that are very authentic to you. That's again what I did in the beginning, tapping into the mountain bike community and the car community, to genuine, worlds that are a passion of mine. And that again is how I did multiple deals. And so I think that's important for people to realize, is that the majority of agents that are struggling, or new agents in general, they have a tendency to overcomplicate what lead generation is. To them, it has to be cold calling, it has to be door knocking, or paid ads, or something that is a new beginning, instead of just saying, let's leverage what we already have. And so I love that. But before getting into and kind of how you've been able to build this repeat and referral business with critical touch points that again aren't pushy, I would love to better understand kind of that explanation of the value proposition, because I also find that, in the beginning, I did a ton of networking events, and many people struggle to be able to differentiate themselves from the 10 other agents that are probably also at that networking event.
Yeah.
And then they wonder why they leave empty handed, or they just, did what the average agent does, pass out a ton of business cards and feel like, oh, maybe somebody's going to call me. There was no intent behind it. And so when you were, doing that sort of elevator pitch and explaining what makes you unique, what did that look like?
So I knew I didn't want to just say I'm a realtor, because in Austin, Texas, there's 20,000 of us. And
Yeah.
so you can throw a stone and hit three or four probably. So I started, there were two lines that I really used a lot. I would expand on them depending on how much time I had with that person, whether it was in line at a Starbucks or was actually at a networking meeting where I could go into detail. But I would always start by telling people, say, oh, what do you do? I say, I help people buy, sell, and invest in residential real estate. And they were like, oh, so you're a realtor? And so I told them the type of client I wanted by telling them what I did, right? Like, because a lot of times when you say realtor, people think someone who does this part time. It doesn't have the greatest connotation
Uneducated.
to it. Yeah. And I didn't want to just throw out a word that really wasn't very attractive
Mhm.
in the marketplace. So I also would tell people I help people grow their net worth by owning real estate, or grow their wealth through owning real estate. And people are pretty interested in how to grow wealth, right? Like that's a pretty exciting hook, you could say, like in the 2025 world. We didn't know what hooks were in 2013, but that was a hook, right? Is I help people grow wealth through owning real estate. And they're like, oh, so you're a realtor? I'm like, yeah, well, I help people, preserve their investments and help them maintain, give them advice on how to maintain their current properties and help them walk through transitions when life gives them, a need to do so. And I think when I just was really confident in that, and I had quick, concise answers that weren't just, oh, I'm a realtor, I think it sparked people to ask me more questions. And therefore, I could build more credibility. I could give them more value. I could differentiate myself from just someone who is doing this as a hobby, because this isn't a hobby for me. And people a lot of times are like, "Oh my gosh, you're so good at what you do," and I'm like, "Well, this isn't what I do for fun. Like
Yeah.
this is fun sometimes, and that's pretty cool to do something that's fun, but this is not my hobby, right? This is my career, and this is my business, and I take it very seriously." And I think when I got really confident and clear with those things, people just saw something different in me. And again, propelled further conversations, increased people's interest, and helped me secure potential leads from them as things would come up.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's important, is to always find a unique angle, because as you alluded to, realtors are a dime a dozen, and they're absolutely everywhere. And, unfortunately what I find with most agents is internally they believe, and most of them are pretty confident in the fact that they're going to go above and beyond, but they have no way to show or portray that to the average person. They're just expecting them to just know that you're going to work hard. And if you can't clearly communicate that, nobody's going to know and nobody's going to care. You are going to be seen as one of the 20 other thousand, and probably one of the multiple others that they already personally know.
Right.
And so transitioning into, you were able to generate leads, you were able to build your business. One of the things that most people struggle with, and why they never get to the level that you have, where you've hit icon status and built this successful business, is that they never learn how to keep in touch with their clients. So every year they're starting from a clean blank slate. Every year they're having to go, the most expensive client to find is a brand new one because you have to
Mhm.
spend money or time, resources, attention, energy in order to go through all this effort to get a new client, service them. And instead of creating a flywheel of repeat and referral, they go do it all over again and again. And they wonder why it's such an exhausting, journey as time goes on. So when it comes to being able to keep in touch with your clients
Mhm.
and get repeat and referral, what has that journey been like for you? And what are some of the tactical things that you've done? Quick pause. If you're watching this feeling stuck, overwhelmed by all the noise, tired of chasing leads, unsure of how to close consistent deals every month with clients coming directly to you for free, I want you to know something. That's exactly where the agent you're listening to right now was before we started working together. And if you want the same support, the same system, and access to all of my social media and AI training, daily live mastermind calls, and direct mentorship, completely free, no extra split, no extra cost, click the link in the description to book a call. We'll talk about partnering together so that you can be the next success story that we're telling on my YouTube channel. Now let's get back into the interview.
I early in my career found a business coach, Brian Buffini, who I thought was he had a lot of really cool relational strategies that spoke to me. And so I got a lot of just training from him, and they were things that I was kind of already doing, but there was a lot more intentionality behind it. So what I've done is, I want to make face to face, voice to voice, and belly to belly contact with everyone in my database. And my database isn't just people that I've sold to in the past or leased a property to. There are people, like I've told other agents, like create a wish list of people that that if they were going to buy or sell, you hope that they would do it with you, and just start treating them like a client. Like they aren't a client yet, but just start treating them that way. And so I kind of had this database of people I'd sold to, again, like I mentioned before, people I had worked with in the past, that I'm like, hey, I had a great relationship with this guy or this woman in this industry. I bet if when they're ready to buy or sell, because of my past relationship, they would want to work with me. So they go into my database. And my database is kind of divided into 4 quadrants. What that allows me to do is to make sure that these people get a face-to-face, voice-to-voice, and belly-to-belly contact every year, right? Like I don't want to be giving the same person just the voice-to-voice 3 times a year, right? Like they're going to get tired of hearing from me. But I want to have a system to where I know which quadrant of people needs voice-to-voice contact, what quadrant of people needs the face-to-face contact, what needs belly-to-belly. And so I kind of have this system where everyone kind of rotates, and those are the 3 tactical things that I do. So, phone calls are super powerful. A lot of people don't want to get on the phone because they don't know what to talk about. They don't think that they have any value to bring. And I think that post COVID and post social media, people are really grateful to hear from you. I can't tell you how many times I've got on the phone with someone and be like, you're one of the only people who still calls me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, cool, that sounds great. So that energizes me to keep doing that. So calling people, I focus a lot on Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dream. So even if I don't feel like I have something to talk about, I can ask them about their family. I can ask them about their job. I can ask them about future travel they have coming up, what's going on with their kids' sports. I can have very organic conversation. And through asking about them, they're going to ask about me. They're going to ask how my business is going. They're going to ask how the real estate market is. And I just have to be really prepared to respond in a very positive light, specifically in a down market. When these people are getting headlines and everyone else is responding, oh, yeah, it's a really hard market. This year's been, really challenging, or just been a bunch of dog poop. Here I am saying, you know what? We've been super successful in this market. We've helped people in interesting situations who had real challenges to face, and we've been able to help them be successful. regardless of their equity, regardless of the interest rates, regardless of what the media says. These people are having true success. And so when you have that, again, kind of back to what I was saying before, that changing the tone of the market, when someone's talking to me and I'm talking about how great the market is, they're like, oh, well, maybe it is a good time to sell. Like, yeah, we still need that fourth bedroom because we had our third kid, but we've been making it work because of this low interest rate, yada, yada, whatever the story is. I flipped the script and told them that it's a great time. People are still finding success. And so those turn into opportunities, or those turn into opportunities of people that they know, right? Yeah, my sister-in-law, they're still in their apartment because they're trying to wait for these rates to go down or whatever. It starts triggering things where I could bring value and solve their problem, or solve a problem of someone that they know. So that's the value of voice to voice, in my opinion, because you really uncover what's going on. Like, are they expecting another child? Did they get a job relocation? Do they both work from home now? Like, are they having to homeschool their kids? Like, has something changed in their life that might trigger a move? Right. And so through having the voice to voice conversations, I'm able to kind of uncover those leads and those opportunities through that. Um, you know, the belly to belly thing is one of the things I'm probably the most passionate about. And, I think you can overcomplicate it, and you can throw massive events, and you can spend thousands of dollars. You can also go to a coffee shop and say, hey, I'm going to be here from 7 to 9. Stop by on your way to work. I'd love to buy you coffee. Um, it's never cost me for about $200. And I've had face-to-face, belly-to-belly conversations with people, maybe a dozen of them in one morning. And I had that for $200, and that's gold, right? Like, I've just saved the day, and all I've done is buy a $6 cup of coffee for someone, right? Like, I've given them something. And so they in turn psychologically want to give me something back. And so, again, separating the database, making sure I'm having that voice to voice, face to face, belly to belly conversations. When I can't get in touch with someone on the phone, a lot of people, it goes to voicemail. You know, 85% of the phone calls I make, they go to voicemail, and they know my name. They know my name coming across their phone. I'm not a spam call. But people are busy. And I've had people that haven't answered phones for years. And then all of a sudden I get an email from them. Oh, my coworker's buying a house. Here's an introduction. Can you help them? And I'm thinking, they must hate me. Did I do a bad job? They never answer my phone calls. But that consistency, I have to understand they have their own lives going on. And answering my phone call might not be the most convenient thing, but just my name coming across their phone is really valuable to them. And just like inviting people to coffee, not everyone's going to be able, not all 300 people in my database are going to be able to come to coffee, right? Maybe 12 of them, maybe 15 of them are going to come. But when they get an invite to come and to swing in and for me to buy them a cup of coffee in the morning, they're like, this girl really cares about people. This girl's really trying to do something other than hound people to buy real estate, right? And so I feel like those types of events, and we do small events like coffees, we do big events like tailgates and everything in between. But I feel like those instances, and what I missed a second ago was when someone doesn't answer the phone, I'll just send them a video text. I don't rehearse it. I don't edit it. I don't do anything. I open my phone, I switch my camera through, I hit record. I'm like, hey, Mike, it's been a long time since we chatted. I just wanted you to know I was thinking about you. I hope things are going well with work. I see your business is growing. So happy for you. Hey, if you ever know someone who is thinking about buying or selling, I'd love an introduction to them. And also, if you ever need anything, if you're home, if if you got hail damage at the last hailstorm, let me know. I know a great roofer who might be able to help you out. And then that's that. I don't even rewatch it. I just hit send because I'm just trying to have an organic conversation. And a lot of times people will respond to that video text, because they'll be able to, if they're in the middle of a Zoom meeting for work, they're in the middle of car drop off with kids, they're in the middle of their own lives, they can watch that video when they have a second, and they can get that personal interaction with me, and it just means something to people. So I think we overcomplicate it. I think it's super, 95% of my business comes from my database, whether it's repeat business or someone who is being referred to me. And so, yeah, at the beginning of every year, I know, okay, I could probably get 25 transactions out of this database if I work it properly. Now I can go and expand on that and grow my YouTube channel and grow my Instagram presence. And I can kind of do this both and kind of tango, because I've got this system down pat. Like, this operates almost automatically. And so it gives me the time and the energy to go and build more in another
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And I think, even as you alluded to, being able to come into a new year with a baseline of what you can actually predict is going to come, to fruition, that allows you to operate out of so much more passion compared to most agents, which is operating out of desperation. And why they continue to struggle to scale every new year is overwhelming. But like you alluded to, like, real estate agents, for the most part, are the kings and queens of overthinking. And they always feel like, if I'm going to reach out, I need a script, I need a reason, I need a purpose, I need to know exactly what to say. And anybody that I know, you and many others in our group that have seen massive success, they just understand that a relationship isn't always transactional, it's relational. And it's just, hey, how can I connect? What can I do? What's going on in your life? And being there for them instead of overcomplicating everything, as you alluded to. And you also said something, which I think is a perfect segue into what I would love to hear your strategy on, which is the social side of things, and being able to say, okay, we can have our baseline of business, but one of the best ways to not just generate new, but also stay top of mind is by leveraging platforms like, YouTube or Instagram. So what platforms are you active on, and what's kind of your strategy there in order to leverage it for business growth?
So I'm probably the most active on Instagram. I've got some pretty big plans for 2026 and growing a YouTube presence. Thankfully, I have a really good trainer who mastered that. But, really, I try to only have about a quarter of my Instagram posts be business related, specifically real estate related. Um, I love posting about things like new restaurants that I'm trying out with my family, base or football games that I'm going to, different things like that. So, and that really keeps my brand in front of my community, right? And so, people that I don't know, that are acquaintances in my community. I see them at football games, but maybe they have kids that are different ages and our paths haven't really crossed yet. They know I sell real estate. And they know I sell real estate because we're all connected, especially hyper locally, right? And so I've really tried to I really want people to know of me as like, I want to be the queen of Cedar Park, right? Like, I want people to know when they think of me, oh, she's a real estate agent and she dominates in Cedar Park. Like, that's what I want people to think. And the way I'm going to do that is, of course, showing houses and, highlighting properties and things like that, but also showing people what is going on in that community. So I feel like social media has taken my sphere. If this is my sphere of influence and it's, my 300 people that I'm going to talk to on a regular basis or nurture in some way, it's kind of broadened it to like, this is my sphere, right? And for me, it still feels very organic because the people that are commenting, the people that are DMing me are probably people in my community, or related to someone in my community. So they feel like they already know me. One, because I've been showing up, but two, because they know, their sisters, their nephew plays on the same football team as my son or something like that, right? There's this connection. And so it allows me to really grow that influence. It Interestingly enough, like, so social media strategies weren't anything that I was kind of doing it randomly. Was pretty decent at it. I had a pretty good amount of success and feedback from it. But since coming over and being here, kind of putting a strategy behind the social media, using AI to determine, hey, what do people want to see posts about from a real estate agent? What value can I bring this community? And that giving me topics and ideas so that I can then build a script or build a compelling story to then bring more people into that sphere. And again, I'm going to just automatically treat them like clients, right? Like, because I want them to be one day. They might not be buying or selling today or in 2025 or even 2026, but it's a marathon, right? Like, if I wouldn't have kept in touch with the people from 2013, I wouldn't have the business that I have today. So if I want to have this business in 10, 15 years before I retire, then I'm just going to continue to plant those seeds, bring that value, educate them on things like, I like to do what I call, or what my coaching taught me, was an item of value, right? Like, so whatever you do, bring this value to people, right? Don't just tell them how many homes you sell or how quickly this home went under market. All of that is very ego based. And some of that is good because people need to know your competency, right? They need to know, if they're hiring me, they need to know that I'm a competent realtor, right? But to bring them things like, hey, here's a list of spring maintenance items. Here's 5 steps to increase your credit score. Here's ways to help you protect yourself against identity theft. It's summertime. Here's some travel hacks for traveling with small children, right? So I'm constantly delivering people value that is not real estate related. And so anytime they need anything, hey, Emily, where should we send our kid to preschool? What pediatrician should we go to? Where can we go and find a formal dress? Like, whatever it is, I've shown up and give them so much value that they now come to me, people that I don't know, asking for recommendations because I have constantly been giving value. And again, that book, The Go Giver, like, the psychology behind that is when I show up and give, and I'm just like passing out, all these little trinkets of value, not costing me really any money, right? It's costing me time, right? And that's a resource. But when I'm giving someone my time and I'm giving someone something that's helpful to them, they automatically want to give me something, right? And so I just operate under that delivering value, um, mindset, knowing that, not expecting anything, right? Like, I don't do this thing, like, I don't go and hand this out because I'm like, okay, well, this is going to make me $20,000, right? And I'm like, no, I know that if I do this and I show up with value, people are going to see me as a resource, and therefore my business will grow. And
Yeah.
then it becomes less egotistical. It becomes, I'm not doing it for any sort of selfish ambition. It feels good, right? It feels good to wake up and do those things for someone. And as a byproduct, the business grows, which is what we're
100%.
trying to do.
Yeah, and it's the law of reciprocity, and I think it's important as well, as you alluded to. Now we're in this era with the ability to leverage artificial intelligence to the point where there is absolutely no excuse for an agent not to have an absolute backlog of value to provide their clients, right? You can figure that out within the next 30 seconds if you just ask, hey, here's my market, here's where I specialize, here's my target avatar, their demographic, psychographics, what can I provide them of value? And it'll spit out a list. And so we're in this very interesting time where we have tools that take care of a lot of the things that used to be a crutch or an excuse or an obstacle for us of like, what do I say? What do I talk about? You can figure that out pretty much immediately. And so, one of the things I'd love to dive into, Emily, is, you have built a successful business, but over the last year, you've also seen a pretty significant shift as well. And being able to, maintain or even scale your production without having to do as much work. So I'd love to talk maybe for somebody that has hit a plateau.
Mm.
What was kind of a catalyst for change for you? What have you done differently over the last year? And what has allowed you to kind of start to build this compounding effect with your business?
Yeah, I have experienced about 20% growth this year in a market that has not grown. So I feel like that's pretty good. I'm very happy with that. And I think the core of that, the biggest thing is I started surrounding myself around people who were doing more. Um, I was in an environment where I had a bunch of people coming to me, asking me for advice, asking me for tips, asking me for help with their listing presentations and yada yada. And I just by nature as a coach and a team builder and as someone who, wants to build other and to serve, I was showing up and giving all those things to them the same way I give to my clients. But I didn't really have people. I did in the beginning of my career, which helped me get to that point. But I was at a place where I didn't really have people who were showing me how to build a team, that were showing me how to scale my business, were showing me how to use these modern day strategies with social media to be more intentional with the content that I'm putting out. Right. And so I kind of had this revelation in early 2024 that I was like, I've been in this same production mode for a long time. And it was great production, right? By most people would probably consider that wildly successful. And it is. It just for me, I knew that I wanted more because again, that was happening for me kind of naturally, right? And so I knew that if I really put the throttle down for the next 5, 10 years, I could really build something that was that could last a much longer time than what I was selling real estate. And so I started surrounding myself with people who were doing more than me. These high level producers like Suman Kim and John Michael Perez, who were selling more real estate than I was and had great qualities of life. They had great relationships with their wives, they had great relationships with their kids, they had great relationships in their community. And so they weren't these people who didn't have balance or who had done so at the sacrifice of their own personal relationships. They had done so in a way where they had something very attractive about them. And so I kind of made a commitment that I just want to be around those people more. I want to be in training rooms with them. I want to be on calls with them. I want to brainstorm with them when I have a pricing strategy question or I have a difficult client. Those are the people I want to talk to through those things so that I could get little nuggets from them and then creep up that production, right? 20% and 20% and 20%. And then one day I look like them. I am one of these $25 million producers. I am one of these $30 million producers. And through aligning myself, with the right organization, I was able to have more opportunities. And it requires some humility. I mean, I was a big fish in a small pond and winning all the awards and getting all the great social media posts, but that wasn't doing anything for me other than my ego, right? Like that's the only thing it was building. I now had to get really uncomfortable and be a small fish in a big pond And that took a level of humility, but I also feel like I knew it was a step that I needed to take to get me there, because I had outgrown my pond. And I needed to be somewhere else. So alignment really is the
Yeah.
answer.
That's huge. And as you alluded to, you're a product of your environment. And oftentimes, as you're getting these accolades, this recognition, and you're getting edified by everybody at your brokerage, it's very easy to kind of get enamored by that and get excited of like, oh, I'm like the man or the woman of the town here. And that does feel good, and there's something to say about that, but it also ends up keeping you there.
Mhm.
It's one of those concepts where if you're the most successful one in the room, like how are you going to grow? How are you going to elevate? Because you only know so much. You need to be around people that are going to help, push you and hold you to the standard and the caliber of man or woman that you are. And so I'd love to talk about that, Emily. You've been able to come over here and become partners with me, Suman, John Michael. And so I'd love to know, first what made the decision or helped you make the decision to come over to not just EXP, but our group. And then when people decide to, click the link in the description, book a call with you, and potentially partner with you, what does that look like? Because I know you've got a big heart and love to help agents get to the level that you're at.
Yeah. So I had been approached by EXP several times throughout my 12-year career, and it had never really been explained to me in a way where how was it going to benefit me. I heard about rev share and heard about all these things that were benefiting the people who were approaching me, but there wasn't really a lot of value driven, and I didn't really see, I didn't understand what a cloud-based brokerage was. I didn't understand that there's still community. I literally, all I knew was that I'd show up to a meeting in an avatar, and I've been with EXP for a year and I've never shown up as an avatar. So I just, my own real flesh has shown up. But it had just never really been explained to me in a way that felt really practical and helpful for me in my business. When I met John Michael with the Wolf Pack and was introduced to Suman and you, it was delivered to me in a way where this is the value that we bring, right? These are the resources that we have. These are the growth strategies that we are using, and these are the results we're getting. We think that you could implement these strategies and have this same success. And it wasn't in a place of this is how you're going to make me successful. It was like, we think that this would elevate your business. And here's why. Not just because you have some great sales pitch, but actually showing me tangible numbers, showing me how revenue share had changed their lives and their families. And so I really thought about it for a long time. I didn't actually make the move for about 6 months. From the time I decided I was going to change brokerages to the time I actually switched over to the Wolfpack was 6 months, because I have been with my brokerage 12 years. I'm really loyal. I didn't want to make a bad mistake. I didn't want to be sold something that wasn't really real. So I tried out the events. I tried out the community. I showed up to some of the masterminds. I did these things. I wanted to taste it and see, like, are they just selling me something, or is this for real? And so I did the work. I
Mhm.
showed up, and I understood what their community was like. I understood what their culture was like, and I saw it was very attractive to me. And so I originally came over to EXP with like one goal in mind, and I wanted this company, either through revenue share or stock options, icon, whatever avenue, I wanted it to pay for my son's private school education. And that was my goal. As simple as that. And I was like, it's probably not going to happen the first year, but long term, if I can supplement this, that would be pretty cool. Um, and I just through those additional streams, not the growth in my business, not the growth in my production, which has made me 20% more money, but just with the stock options and just with, the partnering with agents like myself, I've, I've paid for about 2.5 years of private school education, and I haven't done anything different. And so I've not sacrificed my family. I've not sacrificed my clients. I've not sacrificed my reputation. And I feel like people who are looking for something where they're stuck or they are just feeling like they're at a plateau, um, I just encourage you to explore and to ask questions and to figure out the type of business you want to have and ask people questions that you're interviewing around that. Don't just interview with someone and have them throw up all the awesome things, the bright and shiny package that they're going to offer you. Come to them with, hey, this is the kind of business I want. This is where I'm struggling. This is where I feel like I could really use some help, and find out if that a brokerage shift like the Wolf Pack would be a good fit for you. And that's what I did, and it has worked out beautifully. I would, love to connect with anyone who has a similar story or a similar plateau. I'd just love to have a conversation about where you are and what that looks like in your life, and what you're looking for moving forward. And maybe it's a good fit, maybe it's not. I don't know. For me, it was absolutely a great fit. And you can connect with me at Shelton Properties on Instagram. That's probably the best way to connect with me. We can definitely jump on a call or a quick a Zoom and just have a conversation. If you're in Austin, anywhere in the Austin area, I'll buy you coffee, and that would be fun. So yeah, that's kind of how you can connect with me and how this culture has really changed. And now I receive an award like Icon, and which feels good, right? It still is awesome, but EXP says, "Oh wait, we're going to give you this award. We're also going to give you $16,000." And that is kind of hard to pass up, because though I have a whole shelf of awards and trophies and things, and they never gave me a reduced cap. They never gave me stock option. They never gave me a bonus check, because that's not the industry we work in. That's not, we're not bonused like that. But EXP is different, because they say, if you're a top producer, you can hit these milestones. You can be an influencer in our community. We're going to reward that back to you, and we're going to give this back to you. And $16,000, again, that pays for my son's private school education. So that was very attractive to me, and I'm living proof that you can do it, because it's simple. It's not easy. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but the strategies are simple. And if you just show up and do it, they work.
100%. And, all of Emily's links are going to be in the description and the pinned comment below. So you can click, book a call, check out her Instagram. And, as we always like to say, the most expensive thing you can own is a closed mind. I turned down this opportunity for years, similar to you, because of lack of, understanding and explaining it. How is it going to benefit me? And now it's radically changed my